Hello, I'm Chief Corrigan O'Donoghue of the Royal Oak Police Department. I'd like to begin by thanking everyone for participating in our survey. We had over 1,300 Royal Oakers participate in that initial survey. And also taking the time today to participate in this webinar. We appreciate it. We had over 100 people tell us they're going to join. I think we're about at 45 participants or so right now, and maybe a few more will join on. So it's really encouraging to see that level of participation from our community. The agenda today will be a quick review of the survey, a 6-minute video, and then a discussion period. And then we'll finish up with an online poll and some questions and answers. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Okay, before we begin, I'd just like to say that we miss you. We miss the outdoor summer concerts, the parades, the fun runs, Arts Beats and Eats. We miss all the things that make Royal Oak downtown vibrant and Royal Oak such a special place. Pre-COVID, we would have had this discussion at a town hall meeting face-to-face. I really prefer that, but these are trying times that are forcing us to do the best we can with the tools that are available to us. So briefly, before we get into the survey results, I'd like to talk a little bit about our parking system and how we got to where we are today. Our downtown has grown and evolved over the years, and our parking system has changed right along with it. Sometimes this has happened in a piecemeal fashion. Internally, we have had different departments that had different and frankly sometimes conflicting roles in the parking system. We've tried to fix that by bringing the entire parking system under one umbrella, and we hired Keith Fry as our parking system manager to handle all that. Today, we have 2,564 parking structure spots, 816 surface spots, and 959 street parking meter spots. That's a total of 4,339 spots we have to manage. Over the last few years, we've added more office space with the recent downtown developments. And once the new Henry Ford Medical Building opens up this summer, we will have a lot more daytime visitors than we were used to. We need to be prepared for these changes. And we need to be prepared to reopen smarter once this pandemic is behind us. Our parking system manager, Keith Fry, has spent the last year and a half researching parking solutions. And he feels MPS smart parking systems is the best solution for Royal Oak. Although I agree with Keith, it is important for everyone to know, and I really want to emphasize this point, that no decision has been made yet. The police department's recommendation, this is a police department recommendation only. And both the PD and the city commission, most importantly, want your input before a change is made. We need to decide if we are going to stick with the status quo, which are traditional parking meters, or take advantage of technology and potentially dramatically improve the customer experience and efficiency of our parking system. Due to the age of our current meters, if we stick with the status quo, we will need to invest significant resources into new replacement meters. And that's really the purpose of this meeting today. We want your input and ideas before we recommend a change to the City Commission. So let's get started with our survey results. This slide shows who you are, who took the survey, broken down by gender, age, and zip code. The coolest thing about this slide is the participation by age. It really reflects who we are according to the census data. Population over 65 in Royal Oak is just over 14%, and the survey shows just over 14% of people 65 and over took the survey. So no age group is underrepresented. This is really important. Why you come downtown is really important because obviously visitors are our target audience. Visitors don't have to come downtown, they're choosing to. And we want that experience to be as positive as possible. For the people who took the survey, a vast majority of visitors stayed 4 hours or less, and that was split nearly 50-50 between 2 hours or less or longer. Again, this is important because ideally a parking system will allow for close, convenient parking for very short visits and easy, accessible, and less expensive parking for longer visits. If you are stopping in Toyology or Funky 7 for a quick gift, you might prefer to park close. But if you're having dinner at Luigi's or watching a game at Fifth Avenue, you might not mind walking a block or two, but you probably don't want to spend too much on parking. As you can see, most people prefer on-street parking. It's fairly obvious why, but it does demonstrate the need of a parking system that effectively manages the parking so it's available, so parking's available for the maximum number of people. We asked you to rate our parking system between 1 and 5, with 1 being poor and 5 being excellent. This chart represents the weighted averages. This is my favorite slide because what you told us is most of you don't think our parking system is as bad as we think you think it is. And that's really encouraging. Of those of you who park in our decks, you tend to love them. We have new, open, and clean decks that are well lit and easy to navigate. They are also the cheapest parking in town. As you can see, our decks scored much higher than our surface lots. So if you haven't tried our decks, I encourage you to give them a shot. And if you have used them, tell your friends how nice they are. We read all the comments for why people gave the ratings they did. In general, people who gave our parking system higher marks had this to say. I'll give you a few minutes to read it. As you can imagine, people who rated our system lower had much more to say. We've heard most of these complaints before. The only surprise is the complaint regarding the $5 flat fee at our decks. The City Commission voted to eliminate that fee in August. The garages are now free for the first 2 hours around the clock. So if there's one thing I want you all to take away from this presentation today, it's that the $5 flat fee is gone. Please tell your friends because it appears some people have not heard about this change. It's also important to remember that we can offer free parking or we can have available parking, but we can't have both. Charging for parking ensures people don't monopolize parking spots all day. We see this on Sundays when parking is free and all the street and meter spots are full with employees of the downtown. We also know that there are employees of the downtown who play kind of a version of parking musical chairs, where they'll park in the street until 11 when we begin enforcing the meters. Then they'll move to the decks for the next 2 hours, which are free. And then after that, they'll find a spot in maybe some area that doesn't get frequent enforcement and kind of roll the dice on a ticket. We asked what you wanted, and this is what you told us. Top 3, able to give a warning when your meter is about to expire, able to pay for expired minutes to spare you from getting a parking ticket, and ease of use for people of all abilities, whether that's mobility issues or just being shorter in stature. So with that in mind, I'd like to show you a short video that explains what MPS meters are and what they do.
Oh yeah, some genius invented a kiosk and stuck it a mile from your...
Sorry about that.
The parking meter was invented in 1935. The world has changed a lot since 1935, but sadly not much has changed when it comes to the parking meter. Sure, you can now pay using your credit card, and you can also use your phone to pay for a spot. And oh yeah, some genius invented a kiosk and stuck it a mile from your car. These kiosks create a lot more problems than they solve, like you have to find where it is. Do you walk left? Do you walk right? It is rarely next to your car like it should be, but I guess the good news is you get your steps in for the day because they put it on the other side of the world. And to top it off, they attached an IQ test to it. because you have to either remember your license plate number or your space number, and it is never an easy space number like spot number 4. Oh no, it is a number about as long as your social security number. The sad truth is that meters have not changed much since 1935, and the big elephant in the room about parking meters that no one wants to talk about is, drum roll please, half the people who pull up to a parking meter never pay them, or simply don't pay for time they use, ever. We see it every day and have a hard data to prove it. It is simply not fair that half the people play by the rules and the other half don't. So what if I told you we invented a fix to this problem of fairness and other problems with parking technology dating back to 1935 by adding all new features that will not only make parking fair, but make the consumer and city finally love their parking meters? Meet Sentry. Sentry is the future of parking, and it is here now. Sentry eliminates the 3 big reasons people often hate parking meters. First, let's start with reason number 1. Finding a parking spot. Don't you hate driving around in circles looking for a place to park? We have all been there, and it is not fun. Plus, it just adds to pollution of the planet. You probably have thought, gosh, it would be so nice if someone invented an app for my phone that not only could pay for parking, but it would also show you all of the available parking spots in the area you want to park in real time. An app that even gives you turn-by-turn directions to those empty spots. Reason 2. People hate the trouble of paying a meter. Yes, our meter takes coins and credit cards, and you can use a phone app to pay. And better yet, the meter is right at your car and not in another zip code. But really, we live in the 21st century now. This is all old school stuff. What if you could just drive up, park your car, and the meter reads your plate and automatically deducts money from your account, so it is as simple as driving up and getting out of your car? I'm talking about park and go. No more fooling around with coins, credit cards, and apps. With Sentry, 95% of the people pay for parking they use, not 50% like the rest of the meters out there. Reason 3. Do you know anyone that enjoys getting parking tickets? Well, we don't either. Have you ever met a meter that forgives and forgets? If you arrive a little late, you can wipe away the violation by simply paying for the extra parking time you used. Parking and paying has never been easier. Have you ever seen a meter that makes your parking ticket go away? That's right. Pay a small fee and make your big ticket go away. Even with all of these consumer-friendly features, a city still doubles their existing revenue, including violations. Now that we explained how we have the best and most user-friendly parking meter on planet Earth, I want you to forget it's a parking meter. The best analogy we can use is to compare it to your smartphone. Now, we all have phones in our pockets, but most likely you use it more for email, texts, games, camera, or surfing the internet. Your phone can run over 300,000 applications, and one of those applications is a phone app. And I'm willing to bet you it is the 4th or 5th used application on your phone and not the first. Yes, we have the best parking meter on planet Earth, Sentry, and app, Sentry Mobile. But the parking meter app is the 4th used application that it actually does. The Sentry meter cares about your safety. Did you hear the story about the parking meter that fights crime, deters purse snatchers, assists with the investigation of a bank robbery? Well, you have now. Sentry makes people safer by allowing them to make 911 calls or video 911 calls. Wouldn't it be nice to put a virtual police officer every 40 feet on your sidewalks? If you had a tornado coming or an emergency situation, wouldn't it be nice to warn the people who are walking up and down your streets? How about an Amber Alert, putting the picture of the missing child every 40 feet on the street? We will make your streets safer. We promote businesses. It's funny, but downtown merchants often have a love-hate relationship with parking meters. We turn the hate into love. How? By driving business into merchant shops. How? We enable merchants to reward parkers with coupons and discounts. A meter that picks up the tab by validating parking sessions for the merchants. Most people don't love parking meters. We know that, and so do you. We have changed the parking experience with a meter that's easy to find and so easy to pay, you just drive up to it and get out of your car and don't even touch it. Just park and go. It doesn't get easier than that. A meter the downtown merchants will love, and most of all, a meter that makes the people who live and visit the city safer. And at the end of the day, it makes parking fair. Everyone who uses parking pays for it. This is good for visitors, residents, and business owners, and your city, because better compliance means increased parking fees violation revenue collections. You are wondering, how much does this amazing meter and system cost? Here is the best part. Drum roll, please. The meter is free to your city. Free, as in no cost. Contact us to see a demonstration.
Okay, I just want to kind of review a few of the things that the police department really likes about the MPS system. It addresses the top two things 80% of people who took our survey said they want. It warns you when your meter is about to expire, and it allows you to pay for the minutes used after your meter expires so you can avoid a ticket. It also allows you to pay for only the exact amount of time you use. 60% of you said you want a system that is easy to use for people of all abilities. We often hear that our meters are currently too tall and hard to read, especially after the sun goes down. This system is extremely user-friendly. About half of you were interested in coupons and touchless payments. This system does all those things. One of the coolest features is the MPS app, which will show and direct visitors to open spots, so no more circling the block looking for a parking space. I also want to talk about fairness because I think that's important too. This system eliminates hit or miss enforcement. It prevents someone from ignoring the time limit on a meter. Our meters have a 2-hour limit because we want turnover. We need the spaces to open up. We don't want people who work downtown to park on the street all day. We want them to park in the garages. This system will not allow a person to abuse the time limits we set to ensure on-street parking is available throughout the day. This system allows for a 5-minute grace period. So if you are at the meter for 5 minutes, for less than 5 minutes, or if you stay an extra 5 minutes, there's no charge or penalty. If you stay 15 minutes, though, you will have to pay, and that is fair. Under the current system, we know many people will pay the meter if they're running into Bruegger's to grab a quick bagel. We also know many people don't, and quite frankly, that is not fair. This system also addresses a few issues that are not on our survey, but are frequently mentioned in your comments. Those issues are people with disabled parking or short-term parking, people with mobility issues. This system offers convenient touchless payment. It eliminates issues with meters being too tall or hard to read or having to walk a distance to put money in a kiosk. A person with mobility issues will have more options under this platform, and there's good news regarding short-term parking. This system will allow us to program time limits into our meters with ease. For example, if the city decides to make changes to parking regulations, such as Main Street have 2-hour parking limit during the day, 15-minute parking from 5 to 8 during the carry-out rush, and then maybe a 3-hour limit after 8, all that flexibility is built into the system and is very easy to manage. One of the challenges we have downtown is Uber drivers sitting in prime spots waiting for a fare. They tie up convenient spot and it's not for its intended purpose. This system would address that also. So now let's talk about parking tickets. Although our fees won't increase, our tickets will need to increase from $10 to $20. So why the $20? Well, for one, we don't pay any upfront fees or costs for this system, and city staff is not responsible for maintaining it. MPS, for this service collects half of all our fees and tickets. Their business model does not work with a $10 parking ticket. Keep in mind that the national average on parking meter tickets is $30, and we haven't increased the price of our parking violations in over 10 years. Remember, this system offers you a couple of ways to avoid the ticket as long as you follow our current 2-hour time limit rule. You may pay what is owed before you leave the space, and the system visually alerts you if you overstayed, so it's really easy to avoid a ticket. Frequent visitors can set up the concierge service to their account, and the fee is automatically deducted for just the exact amount of time used. That's a really cool and convenient feature. We do see a couple advantages to a higher ticket price. A $20 ticket fee may provide motivation to get people to respect our time limits at our meters, which will free up more on-street parking. Those who try to park 3 hours in a 2-hour spot will get a ticket. That is one ticket you cannot avoid. We must respect the time limits. Not being able to abuse the time limitation and getting the higher $20 ticket, if you do, may persuade people to park in the garages for longer stays. That is where you should park for any visits longer than 2 hours. And our survey shows our garages are pretty nice. Just ask your neighbors if you haven't experienced it for yourself. So I've shared with you why we like the system and why we would recommend it to the City Commission, but we'd like to know what you think too. We're going to take a brief survey. The survey has many of the statements I've made about MPS. Here's your opportunity to say if you agree with us or disagree with us. The survey is, of course, anonymous. We want you to be truthful, and don't worry, you're not going to hurt our feelings. After the survey, we'll allow some time for some questions, but with the amount of people we have online, don't worry, we won't be able to get to them all today because we have so many people. But we will answer every single one and post all the questions and answers online. So I'm going to turn this presentation over to Judy Davids now.
Thanks, Chief. So if you are watching this presentation from a PC, at this point, you could open up another browser and you can go to romi.gov/poll. That will take you to a SurveyMonkey brief survey. If you're, or you could open the survey from your cell phone and take it from your cell phone right now. You could do that too. If you're watching this presentation from a cell phone, it might be difficult to take the poll. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave the poll open for 1 hour after this presentation. So if you don't get to do the survey, you don't have time to finish it, you want to think about it some more, don't worry, we'll give you some time at the end of the presentation for you to do it on your own. So with that, we're going to start a timer. We're going to give you 5 minutes. We've put together, it is our centennial year, so we put together a little video here presentation that's going to of pictures of Royal Oak over the past, and we'll count down 5 minutes starting now, and then we'll come back. I just want to remind everybody that the last question on the survey is an opportunity to ask a question. If you have any questions about anything you've seen or anything you've learned today, that's your opportunity to put in a question. Thanks.
Okay, looks like time's up. I don't know if Judy can post our results online or not.
I can, Chief.
Okay. So hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to look at this.
I'm just going to refresh.
Okay. I'm going off a different computer screen, so I need to refresh same time as you. So let's not refresh again now. So we're all looking at the same thing, but the first impressions, I think it's overwhelmingly positive. About a third of you really love it, and half of you like what you see. A few of you are neutral, and then looks like 12% are disappointed. I think it would be helpful if, when we do some follow-up, if those of you who are disappointed can tell us specifically what aspects that you find disappointing. I think that would help us. How satisfied are you that this new platform will give us what we want? Looks like it's, again, good numbers. Looks like people are very satisfied. The concern is ease of use for people with all abilities, and maybe that might need to be. That's still got a good number, 57. But oh wait, well hold on a minute, Judy. Am I reading this?
Yeah, you're reading it right. 60%
Okay.
of people
Okay.
are satisfied.
Okay, I'm sorry. One of these was color coded. Apparently they're not all. So
Oh, there we go.
all right, that's why I got confused. Okay, so anyway, but for those who have got concerns about that, again, it might be a clarification, because I do think it is easy, for people of all abilities, and we might need to explain that a little better. And then just kind of breaking down what you think about the presentation you just heard. And for the most part, I think these are pretty good. Everyone seems to, I don't want to delve too much into the weeds here, but it looks like for the most part, this is very well liked, and people agree. They have some concerns, but they agree with us, basically. Now the big issue, which is really, I think for a lot of people, this is a sticking point. It's a sticking point for us. This is a concern. That's why we're trying to be as transparent as possible about this and why we're doing it. It looks like over half of you think that raising the ticket price will deter people from visiting downtown. Again, I think this might be a little bit of messaging. I'm hoping people understand that, there's cheap and inexpensive parking.
Chief, actually, I think that that question, 50% of people they disagree with that statement. Raising the ticket price will deter people from coming downtown.
All right, thank you.
The one question sort of had like a reverse positive, but
I get you. Okay, great. All right, well that's good news. And this is one part of the presentation we couldn't practice, so of course I screwed it up. So there you go. All right. Again, we got a lot of great questions. I was scrolling through the questions as we went through them, and there's a lot of great questions. In the interest of time, obviously, I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but I'm going to just kind of fly spec a few of them and give you some answers. I guess it's actually the last question. How does a meter give you a ticket? The way the system works is it actually takes a photo of your license plate. There's a number of cameras set up on the poles and the kiosks. That information is downloaded to the police department, and we have a city employee who needs to look at that, confirm that the photo matches what would be a ticket, and then a ticket's mailed to the driver. So the driver doesn't leave with a ticket, but has one mailed to his house. So that's how that works. It also, the system, when you come back to it, if you haven't paid, it has a red indicator. So right away if you need to shore up the system. I'm going to just kind of pick maybe one or two more here out of here. What about the surface lots? We only have back plates. The system understands how Michigan law works and how these plates work, and it's designed to catch the back plates. The surface lots, we are looking at a solution with this exact same system where it just gets your plate when you pull into the lot and when you pull out. So the surface lots will be we'll be able to get rid of all the ugly meters in the surface lots, and that's how the surface lots will work. It's kind of a short explanation, but they work in a very similar manner. Let me just gonna scroll through maybe one or two more. Can a camera feature be added, be an aid to deterring crime? Yep, the camera catches a lot of the sidewalk and things like that. So we get a lot of data off the camera system, and we hold that data for a very short period of time. But if there were to be a crime, we'd be able to go back and look at that, and that would aid us in crime. You know, it's one question. It says, I'm concerned about people, mostly seniors, who are not tech savvy. You know, this is a concern. And actually, when we roll these out, we're going to have some, what we call them, ambassadors, who are helping people use the system and explain it to them. But where this system has been deployed, it doesn't require a high level of technical knowledge. It is pretty easy to use. You know, maybe I'll find one more question here and then we'll wrap it up for the day. What other cities are using this new system, and what is their experience and feedback? You know, this is an interesting question because right now the only other places in Michigan are Flint, and I think Hamtramck is looking at it. They've got a number of cities throughout the nation that have used it. Almost always, the system works well. There's been some places have had some kind of community backlash, and it's because of the messaging. They implemented the system. The city didn't really explain what was going on, how it changed, and you know, people were kind of caught unaware. And I think you know, that's what we're doing this today. Is we want to make sure people are aware of what we're doing. We've looked at it. I think it's a good system. I think it's a fair system. But we need all Royal Oakers and everyone who visits us to really kind of understand what it is and how fair it is and how to use it. So, you know, so it works, and we get our system working as efficiently as we can. So, those weren't great answers. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this on the fly. But again, like, this was the part we couldn't practice. But what we're going to do is this entire presentation will be available online, and including the results of the survey. And I believe Judy's going to keep it open for a period of time. So if you've had any connectivity issues, let us know. But every one of these questions we're going to get an answer to, and we're going to post those online. So again, if you got any other questions, if you think about them, feel free to reach out for us. But I really, really want to thank everyone. I know your time's valuable, but we really appreciate your participation. And, you know, we want to do the best we can to get this community engagement, you know, when we're really not able to see each other. So we're looking forward to when that time comes again. But again, I thank you very much for your time, and I hope everyone has a good night. And I think we're going to wrap this up.
Chief, Chief, can I just add?
Of course.
The last slide shows a URL, romy.gov/parking. That URL is dead tonight, but later this evening and definitely tomorrow, that if you go to that link, it will have all the survey results the initial survey that 1,300 people took, of tonight's survey. It'll have a list of, I think, something like almost 30 frequently asked questions. It'll have this presentation. You can watch it again. It'll have the slideshows. So if you've missed anything, be sure to check that URL tomorrow, romie.gov/parking. That's it.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much, everybody, and I hope everyone has a great evening.